You're running a shop floor, not a Pinterest interest board or a fantasy football league. You don't need inspiration, you need things to work. So welcome to Build Your Way, a podcast from Cetec ERP. This is a show for manufacturers who are in it every day, from quoting and shipping jobs to troubleshooting quality and material shortages, all while staying a step ahead of what's next. We bring you stories from the field, lessons that stick, and strategies that actually scale to help you build better. Let's get to work.
Welcome to the Build Your Way podcast. My name is Taylor Wagen.
And I'm Scott Ryan. And this episode, we have John Bruening from Harwood Rubber.
Thanks, John.
So, nice to meet you.
All the way from the Midwest, land of Ohio. Talk us through a little bit about Harwood Rubber. What do you guys do? What do your customers look like? What's the process?
We do custom rubber roller recovering and specialty molded products. Our customers are a wide, vast range. We're in a bunch of different industries, from steel processing to tire manufacturing, paper processing, film processing, basically anything that's getting labeled, inking, laminating, and molded rubber products, titanium, grinding. So we cover a vast number of industries, big and small. And that's a great part of us. With our capabilities, we service major corporations, and then we're helping the Amish guy down the street too. Yep, so we cover a wide range.
What's a normal job size in terms of like time for you guys?
Are you speaking in terms of like how long it takes us to turn around a product?
Yeah. So I mean, you mentioned recovering for rollers and like products. So I'm assuming people are sending you something, you're processing it, and then sending it back out. What's that time frame normally?
The average lead time is about 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay.
And then we talk about like forward and backward scheduling. Like if we took in a product and that was the only thing we were running through, like minute to minute without any downtime, we could probably finish it in about an 18-hour to 24-hour period. But it's just all the work that's backed up in front of it. So yeah, about 3 or 4 weeks for recover.
Okay. Oh, that's because you have just a backlog, a queue, kind of that you're gonna have to get in line, buddy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sales is doing their job.
That's what I like to hear. Do you guys? Would you let me cut in line for a minor fee? Maybe if Mr. Washington happened to put in a good word for me.
Yeah, if you had some friends like Franklin.
Oh man.
Something we haven't done in the past, but we are considering it because everybody wants to go to the front of the line. Everybody, it's sort of like their poor planning becomes our problem. So we are actually looking at establishing official expedite fees or a service, I should say, and that way they have the advantage of, if you want to take advantage of it, you can pay to cut in line, but we can't punish all the other customers that plan and have spares. So like we try to be as PC as possible with this situation. We don't want to hurt somebody that's already in a bad situation, but we help them plan for the future.
I travel for work over to visit some of our offices, and if you're one of those lucky suckers that gets the upgrade, and then you get to board first. Yeah. Which is actually kind of like a perverse incentive, because really you'd think you'd want to be on the plane the least amount of time, so you'd want to board last and then exit first. But
well, if you're very first, they give you a little like mimosa, champagne, and then I'm okay.
Yeah, you're back in the game here. I think the real prize is being able to put your bag up high, though. Like if you they force you, oh, I'm sorry, there's no space. No, you gotta get, so you pay for that. But you could have sort of a first class option where you get to jump in line. And you send them a mimosa or something. Just ideas here. Okay, so what drove this switch for you guys? Like, what were you running before Cetec ERP?
It was called Foxpro.
Yeah,
was our legacy system. Yep. And the switch came to be that we were acquired by a venture capital company in November of 2023. And the legacy system we had running was 30 years old. Everything was on paper. There were no programmers around that we had access to that could keep up the system, and we were just worried that it was about to crash at any moment. So that was our number one priority. As soon as we were acquired, we asked, can we please look at upgrading our system? Luckily, they're a great company, and we jumped on it almost immediately for starting the search.
So
We knew we needed something.
you asked for a new ERP rather than
They told it.
they told you
That's
to.
interesting.
I had never caught on to that. Okay, that's great. Normally, I think normally works the other way around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean that's you asking for all the change and the chaos. Like that's going to become your problem. Like, yes, please. All I want is to go through an ERP conversion project.
Yeah.
Yeah. Funny. Yeah.
I didn't know what I was asking for at that time. We just
looking back on it, the paper was fine. Okay.
we had I think Scott may have got to see it when he was here. We had what we called our cloud storage, and it's literally like a crawl space above the offices that was just filled with 20 years worth of files.
I appreciate that. Not a fire hazard. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you went on site, right?
I went on site.
And did discovery and go live? You did both?
I did do both. Yeah.
Okay. And just for the sake of our audience, when we have an ERP project, we will often start with putting a consultant on site to go through what is the project going to look like, who are the people, what are the things we haven't thought of that we should try to put on a whiteboard, and then make a project plan, deal with all the data, all the training, all the processes, and then have somebody back for the go live when there's like that first week of absolute chaos when you thought you knew how to do something and you realize like, I'm panicking, I don't know what to do. And then Scott shows up and, calms you down and says, you're just going to click on the button that says place order. Everything's going to be fine. And so he was both of those things for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which, helps with project continuity. And,
yeah. No, it's great.
Yeah.
That's great. And did you guys get data out of FoxPro successfully?
So that was actually on purpose because there wasn't a clean way. It wasn't really attached to anything. It would have been really messy. I think they offered to help us try and export it, but it's a 6-year-old company, and we had a ton of data that was no longer clean. So we were using it as a way to like purify everything going into our new system would be clean. And we just minimized everything to the most recent 3 years, and then just kept a digital scan catalog of everything if we ever needed to reference it again. So if we had a newer system and we ever had to do it again, we definitely do that, but we forewent that on purpose.
So did you guys manually enter? You did. You just typed it in. So that's the thing. I think a lot of people are not willing enough to let go of some of the data that like maybe it has value, and you go to all this trouble, you're like massive spreadsheets, you're trying to find stuff, and then you got to call them off, and like the costs are mounting. Like, man, you got 80 customers or you got 200 customers, just type them in. It's not that bad.
Yeah. Well, I think John did most of the entry, like order entry, which really is, that's the heavier lift anyway, for sure, during go live week.
Oh, really? Okay. I mean, you just have to have them as you need them to process, so that works out.
Yeah. It's like, what's the next thing that we need to ship?
Yeah.
Well, let's get it in the system and learn how to do that. And then work backwards. Yeah.
We have a little version of Cetec Bingo, where there's a couple phrases that come up, and somebody's going to yell bingo from the other room. One of them is garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
It's true. It's just a cliche. So, what does the inventory look like for you guys?
I think we're carrying about 300,000 in inventory. We do have a lot of parts, but again, it depends on what you're talking about. Like there's much larger companies than us that have a ton. But since we're such a smaller organization, we have way less overhead and admin that work in the office. It's manageable. So again, I think it only took about 3 days for us to get all of our inventory put in the new system.
Yeah, and it's a mix of the mix is like chemicals. So you have a lot of process heavy manufacturing, but also just like more like machine job shop. So like you're tracking the cores that you get, the serialized cores from the customer, and
then you go from there. What's is most of that like that's a great inventory number. Is it you're able to keep it low because your lead times are consistent and short, or is there like a ton of variability on any of that stuff?
Yeah, so it'll have a shelf life. So we do try to keep a minimum amount on hand, and only will keep like our reorder points are pretty low. And just through the 6 years that we've been doing it, we're pretty confident in what we need to keep on hand and what we'll just order as those particular orders come in, because we do handle a variety of different rubbers and chemicals. Some of the chemicals are more stable, so they can sit on the shelf, or they have a year or two life in them. Other things are more consumable that don't have a shelf life, the random shop supplies and things of that nature. But pretty manageable for a smaller company, so not bad.
Interesting. Okay. So question for Scott, you doing implementation, based on that description, did you think we're just going to manage and purchase everything against reorder points because they have a pretty good idea?
That's a great question. It didn't really present as a pain point, though. I think the trickier thing was getting the work orders and bombs set up the correct way. And so it was getting to the point of identifying how do we create batches for our rubber cures. So it was really more the planning on the shop floor around the subassembly like mixtures, and tracking that was probably a trickier.
That was the harder part.
Yeah.
John, do you batch your order lines in Cetec ERP?
So that was one of the concerns, because it wasn't CTEC. Like no other ERPs really had a formula, kind of calculator, and that was a concern we had going into it. But it was playing around with it, and we had a few different versions. But once we figured out how to make it work, we're like, great, we can use the system to do exactly what we needed to. So we do a build a stock order to create the formulas and the mix sheets. And it was this tricky, like Scott said, because we had a bomb and a bunch of sub-assemblies that went into it, and we had to figure out how to stack everything, because there's also different weights. So we have grams, and we have pounds, we have gallons, and all that is basically merged into one. So it was a little tricky, but we figured it out.
Yeah, but then it was just MRP build. It was where we ended up. Like, once you peel back the layers, I was like, oh, we can actually, I think, simplify a lot of this. And then upstream from that, it starts to iron out some of the quoting questions, and but that really solves most of the raw material inventory as well. How are we going to consume? Because that's how we have to plan to purchase, so yeah. So it's been about 8 months. How long did it take for you guys to stabilize? How has that process been? What have you tweaked, or what have you changed?
Yeah, good question.
Yeah. It's been a lot. I think I would say within 4 months of implementation, we felt very confident to just cut our old system off. We're still keeping it just to go back to legacy data in case a customer comes from 10 years ago. And I say we're 97% of the way there. There's a few small things, but it was a huge transition for us, and we had a lot of bad habits because we operated our own way, and now there's the system, and it was really easy to use, but we had to get used to it. It was all new to us, and so we had a couple things that we picked a path and went with it, and then a few months later we're like, let's redirect and go a different path. And we already had a bunch of parts in the system, and had to go back and change, upgrade customers. So we were careful. By the time we were about 6 months through, like, we're only going to change something if it's vital. Otherwise, we're living with it. But we felt that it was new enough that, again, the garbage in, garbage out. If we make it right now, then it'll be better going forward. So yeah, implementation was fun. And again, having not done it before, probably could have planned a little bit better, or having the experience, it would make it definitely easier going forward.
Yeah, I think something that's come up in the last few episodes is change management being just kind of conceptually probably the hardest problem that manufacturers encounter. I think there were a couple of things that I saw specifically at Harwood that made that helpful. I mean, the team,
Helpful as in like culturally they were okay with change. Okay.
yeah. So they're, I mean, one, like just kind of being smaller helps. You can adapt. You can move, and you're lean. You can move quickly. You don't have
How many people are on the Harwood
20.
20 people? A Harwood team? I don't know what you say, Harwood.
But I think, we joke about why are you what do you do day to day? Why do you do it that way? And then the answer being, well, I've always done it that way. And so I think, and then maybe this was just everybody was so fed up with Fox Pro and like their workarounds outside of the system that they were like, I don't care if we keep it the same. Well, let's get the important things and then we'll learn the new way.
You mentioned this to me. We talked about, I don't even remember what the process was because that was unimportant. We often like bounce over like, hey, what do you think the right process is? I'm thinking about this, or I'm thinking about this. Like maybe you've been on site somewhere and like, I think this is better based on my experience, but maybe you double check it. And you made a comment there's like, I don't, like these guys are very willing to go to whichever is the best process. And that actually stuck out in my head because that's so rare. Whereas normally you need to keep it close to the process people are coming from. And you made it like an offhanded comment that like, oh yeah, Harwood, they'll do whatever as long as it makes sense. And I was like, wow,
yeah,
that's cool. That's really rare.
There was so much of this like, oh, that's fine. We can drop that as long as there's a way to like not take a step back on what the end business outcome is.
Yeah.
The other one was really Joe. John was capable, but Joe just picked up a lot of things. Like I think when I show up often on site, I'm looking for who are the 2 or 3 younger people that will pick up on this new system, these new screens, these new clicks, and like they kind of become the champions. And so I didn't really have to find that. He kind of surfaced very early. And again, John's very capable, but there's a very clear like, okay, you have somebody that can technically understand how the system is trying to function, kind of intuitively gets and so that was huge because they can unearth
your super user or whatever, yeah,
uncover problems or solutions to a problem very quickly. And that just keeps people from feeling defeated.
Yeah.
I think.
He's also the one who passed university ERP and got the certificate. No one else made it all the way through.
Yeah, that's true.
That's great. University ERP is a class set that we have, which is great because it's a bad pun, Cetec University ERP, and we love those. And it's a set of videos about, how to perform processes in Cetec ERP. And then like you get a test environment and you have to work through the examples and, perform all the steps correctly. And then you get like a green, you did it, you passed this class. And if I can be candid, which, I'd like to be just for the sake of our interview here, I think it's miserably boring, right? Like I don't know if, can I say that? I can say that, right? It's miserably boring. It's an ERP class. Like it was never going to be like, we're competing with driver's ed here, right? This is not, we're not watching fun YouTube videos. We're watching YouTube about how to place a work order, it's like, it's going to be a little dull. And that's fine though, because it's so effective. We used to do training without, and we'd send people these things. You send them articles, you send them videos, you send them whatever. And it's like, man, you'd show up on site and people have done nothing. And if they have done something, they don't remember any of it. Now the fact that they will have gone and like, they watch the videos at, 20x speed or whatever it is, and then you have a test and you have to actually like perform things. You're like, oh, I heard something about that in the video. Go back, find that thing. But the being tested on it and clicking through and actually doing it, it has made our go lives so much better. So much better. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we're being candid, if I could say one thing, because there was a little bit of challenge from when it was created, and there was like the old version and new version. But I think it's so user-friendly that I would recommend the test environment 5 times over doing the training and just going in and messing with it, because it's so organic. You can go in and basically figure it out without any training.
Yeah, it's quite fair. That's what they ended up pivoting towards.
Just go play with it.
Let's just go do it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Which, like, how many times do you show up on site and people have never logged in? So that just makes go live. Hey, what's one or two things that you guys are maybe currently struggling with, trying to improve operationally?
I think one was sort of the ordering, and again, it's just because we're a small place, we're kind of overwhelmed. We got a little backed up with the implementation that we were going like section by section. I said, like, when it was ready for implementation time, I felt like all the pressure was on me. I had to know everybody's job and the whole scope of every section of ERP, and I kind of hoped that people would have taken ownership for their section and kind of delved into it a little bit heavier. So like once we came to go live, I think Scott witnessed it the first 2 days, like we didn't bother them. We were like, we're busy doing stuff. We're trying to get all this data in there. So like we had kind of lost our time, and it was just poor management, doing it for the first time. But it seems to be the ordering for like the reorder points. And I think, again, it's just how we had to build out our parts for the bombs, that we see the top level PRC part, and it has bombs, and it's harder for us to see the sub bomb consumption of parts that we need to reorder. And I don't think there's anything wrong with the system. I think it's our learning curve and spending time and figuring it out.
Getting to consumption rate of your raw materials when it's
a couple down.
Yeah, full layers down.
Do you know, either of you guys know, when you create your top level order on the customer demand, are you creating the work orders for those at the same time?
No, usually they're like your MRP.
So there's a lag. But I mean, same day or is it waiting till you're actually close to need, if there's a 3-4 week line?
Yeah, and that's where, like, we're still trying to sort that out to see what.
Not quite caught up there yet. That makes some sense. Okay.
If it's living at a quote level, it's not creating like a true demand on it yet until we commit it to order. And then when you pull the order and you pick like the rubber in our case, it truly doesn't take it in. It just creates like a hold allocation, and it doesn't pull it until you're like invoicing and closing, where it basically finally transitions it out of the inventory. So again, it's just stuff that's new to us. Like potentially that's how it's always been in other companies and stuff. It's just we're just living through it and trying to learn and get better with it.
Interesting. Yeah. There's a couple things off the top of my head that we can chat about. Separately at ERPalooza, or yeah.
Yeah, are you guys coming down in October?
John will be there.
Yeah, we'll be there. And I don't know if we're allowed to say this on TV. A $20 bill may or may not pass hands.
We've got a little wager on the UT Ohio
That's
State.
Excellent. Yeah, somebody's gonna lose and somebody's gonna win.
We'll all get a laugh.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so one of the thing that I think, John, this may not have been true before Harwood was purchased, but I think you guys just started the sales marketing push. What has that looked like? What are you guys doing for marketing? What does it look like on the sales side? And what are you trying to do as you figure things out? What's effective?
It's great because, again, before when we were under the family ownership, we were never trying to grow. It was all organic. It was just incoming calls. When we were purchased, we wanted to make a push because we had extra capacity, and who doesn't want to make more money? Like that's their job, is to make as much money as possible. So the strategy was to bring in basically a sales manager to help drive that sales and marketing. We got a marketing firm to sort of help guide us and like, here's some things we need to try and expand. We looked at multiple things that we're kind of tweaking with and seeing what works. But we knew that the CRM was something that wasn't heavily advertised in Cetec, but it has a capability. And I think Ron may have even talked to you directly if there was like a bolt-on or like an upgrade, to more manage it. But when we
You don't even need an upgrade. It's just a part of it.
Baked in.
It was really just, look, here's this whole world that we didn't get to touch way back when. So,
Funny.
yeah.
Because it was, again, something we kind of threw, like, we don't care right now. Like, we just want to be able to process orders, and like, we'll figure that out on the back end when we have a body, who can focus on that. So we're exploring a bunch of new things. We did just start using the leads. Within the past 2 weeks. So that's something we're using. I don't want to make the bells ring and say it for the third time, but again, the junk in, junk out, I really want to say it, was we're trying to eliminate some of the quotes that are going in, because we get so many new inquiries that we're just entering customers in, and we're entering parts in the system, and that's very labor intensive, building all these extra parts that we may never produce or run. So we basically started going to like a swag where we're just getting them like a price, and then entering the customer in the leads, and then sending a price over. So like if they do come back, we already know how to build a part, convert it to a customer, make a quote, and send it all out. We did start using the email function, which has been fun. Again, just from, it's not like none of us have any technical capabilities, but the younger generation definitely has an advantage there, and it's almost like we're scared to use it. To just hit that button and let it go. So we're learning and adapting and trying to use it. So.
I have this is not to lead the witness, but ERP companies, of which we are one, like to trot out these ROI numbers about amazing, X company achieved, 9 gazillion percentage ROI increase, because they implemented our shiny new product. And I always wonder, where on earth do they get those numbers? Like, how do you actually calculate effectively ROI, unless it's like, what do you got, head count? You could try to estimate throughput, but usually there's a bunch of changes, right? There's a whole bunch of things. In your mind, now you've been on Cetec for 8 months, have you noticed like an operational efficiency change compared to the old system? Or is it more of like, hey, we unlocked new abilities, you could do a few more things in the system, or you have something that's going to be stable, or what kinds of things actually meaningfully changed for you all?
So there's a few things to unpack there. One, the answer to your question is who figures out all that stuff. So some actuary, some person smarter than I am, they can pull all that stuff together. I think the low hanging fruit is really the price of ERP to begin with. Cetec wasn't something we were looking at price wise. We just wanted the best system, what we felt was going to be best for us. And only after we compared a bunch of different companies and we saw the price tag, we're like, this is already what we wanted, and they have the best price tag. So I think, like, ROI wise, that allocated extra funds to invest in other things. So I think that was the first one. I think that's where you get your first ROI. For us, we were kind of janky in the beginning because we were trying to make everything go. We kind of slowed down in the beginning, but we're realizing more efficiencies and utilizing the system. But again, it's hard to calculate, but I could tell you we have tons more space on all our desks because everything's in the cloud or in the Cetec instead of files and folders and filing cabinets. So now you have more space to put more products. So there's another way you can calculate it. There's been a lot. As far as manpower, I think you're taking away something that was a tedious, monotonous task. And again, you have something that's on paper, and so you're relying on people's handwriting, and they invert numbers. You can't read their handwriting, so it can save you errors and save you time there too. So I think there's a lot of small ways. It's granular, but I don't want to figure it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's enough to subjectively.
Yeah, something.
Yeah, I don't regret this decision.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, like, what's on the horizon for you guys? You're looking at, acquiring another company, like ramping up sales. How far off are you guys just from, blowing up?
It's hard to say. I think we had an opportunity. One, it's just the company we work for. We're very, very lucky. I don't want to say the owner's just bananas rich, but like he has a hobby of buying businesses, and we've been trying to be strategic with like bolt-on acquisitions that make sense to, that we can help each other out. So like the other company to look at does the exact same thing we're doing. We've looked at other companies that do like machining capabilities that also support us, or urethane houses that also support us. And some we're looking for, and some are just opportunities that become available. So the one we just went and looked at in Boston, that was one that just became available. They're very aggressive in trying to close it out possibly by the end of the year if everything works great. They're in the same situation. Like I said, we had wanted to switch ERPs. It depends on where they're at. I don't think they have a system either, but it'll just be trying to make it their idea a little bit, to push them in.
Inception.
It'll be tricky. And then we had another one that I think it was the day after we got back that popped up for a urethane company, but they wanted to wait possibly a year or two, and we said that's actually probably fine for it. It's going really fast, and sometimes you get yourself in a position you're going to wreck. And we said it's better to pace because we're still working on our overall like QMS system and like lining up to get our ISO certification. So there's a lot going on, and even this second location is going to be it'll be fun. But I'm okay pushing off ERP implementation. I'd like a little bit of a break.
You said one of those is a European company?
They're in Boston. Oh, the one that owns us?
Oh, the one that you guys are pushing out potentially? Did I hear that correctly?
No, urethane, not European. Urethane. Yes, I would love to go to Europe.
That's great. That's good. Aging's a hell of a thing, So.
Yeah. How's the ISO? Implementing QMS.
When you guys are talking about listening to the ERP classes and going to sleep, this is 5 times more sleepier kind of stuff. But it's a necessary evil. Thankfully, I'm not heading it. I'm just kind of overseeing it. Josh, our engineering manager, is doing all the work. He's amazing. But we've really set up a good plan to just go like piece by piece and slowly go section to section, implement so many things at a time. Like we just finished like the safety plan and all those protocols, and then we're just going to go around the shop so we can become as lean as possible. But again, it's living everything in Cetec. That's going to help with like our quality and inspections. That we have like all those signature lines. And once we have a process in place, now we can duplicate that. Once we've made it finite here, now we can take another location, just do the exact same thing. We've been through it.
Do you have a deadline for that? When is that supposed to be done?
We gave ourselves a year, and it started in July. So we're pretty early into it, but I figure a year's pretty fair. It's not too fast, but gives us a pretty fair amount of time. We're pretty aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, you did an ERP implementation in 2.5 months. Yeah. So
that should be all right. Okay. Huh. Yeah. What else? Anything else come up in your mind? Notable?
I've nothing else. Yeah, unless you've got.
No, that's great. That was interesting for me, not having been a part of the project. Kind of to hear just a little bit of the snapshot on how that went. That was kind of neat.
Yeah.
So thanks for joining us. Thanks for the time. Thanks for answering all our far-flung questions here. Appreciate that. And we look forward to seeing you in October.
I'll see you guys in a couple months.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Well, thanks, John.
Yes.
Well, thanks for joining us. And until our next episode, continue to build your way.
Like, follow us, subscribe on whatever podcast platform you use. And if you have questions, want to be a part of this whole thing, email us, podcast@ctecherp.com.